So first of all, you need to get some paper or something that you can put your glue on so that you don't damage any tables or surfaces that you've got. And then if you separate your materials, so I've got all my thalaspi separated, and also, if you can see, I've got all my flowers separated here out of the bunch, just so I can easily pick up what I need to. And then you at home, you're not going to have a model head, I wouldn't have thought, so you just need to get something that you can balance the Alice band on. Maybe I don't know, a glass or a vase or something. Like, I know in class we've been a bit resourceful in the past, but just something where you can put the Alice band on so you don't have to keep holding it. I'm sure you'll think of something. So what we need to do is, I like to get the glue out and put a little bit onto some of the paper. The reason for this is it takes a long time to dry. So if you've got a little bit there ready, you can dip into it and put it on. Now I'm going to start with making a base, and I'm going to make the base with the thalaspi. So we're working on asymmetrical still. So dip your foliage in and then pop your greenery onto the Alice band. So you're going to need to perhaps use your scissors to hold it down a bit. Yeah, be careful of getting your fingers on the glue, as it is very, very sticky and it will get all over you. So you do need to hold it down with something. So you can see I'm just using the tip of my scissors there because it keeps bouncing up. And we have to wait and be patient for that to dry. Okay, so then I'm going to bring some down the other side, making sure it's a nice piece. So this bit needs to be shorter, so remember this is probably going to be going behind the ear, so it will be tickling, so I'm going to make this stem shorter. So it's now like this length. Okay, so I've also got a little bundle there, there's quite a few little stems bunched together, and I'm going to pop that in the glue, make sure it's got a good covering. And then put this further down. So I just need to hold that whilst it sticks, whilst that's setting. So you can see, so this is the asymmetrical side. I'm not going to come down over this side of the band, just this bit here. So this is probably where the E is going to be, so that is far enough. So I'm just going to continue building up a little bit more of a shape, and that is done all in exactly the same way. So like we do with any arrangements, we're starting with the greenery first. So I have this thistle in the middle, which is really nice, but it's quite tall. So we need to bring some other materials in now that have some height, which is going to give us a nice profile. Otherwise we'll have everything flat and then a big thistle, which is not good. So I have cut some little pieces of lavender, my smallest pieces, and then I just need to measure them next to it to see how long the stems need to be. So you can't see because my fingers are in the way. Like that. If you're allowed to go flat on the band there, this is too tall, so I want it to be much, much smaller. So I'm going to chop a bit off and then measure it again. So that's much better. So then the lavender is just a little bit taller, but I think even still, I'm still going to take a little bit more off, so it's just a bit tall. So then I need to have some glue on the end here. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit on and just pop that next to the thistle. Now it is a little bit of a fiddle, but you should just be able to squidge it in, and because the glue is nearly dry, it should just stick and stay. So of course we need a little bit more the other side, so I'm going to get some small stems again. I do need to take a little bit off the bottom to make them a little bit thinner. And then again, this is exactly the same. I'm going to measure. That's too tall, so it needs to go shorter. So a bit of the flower off and then cut the stem. So you can see these are very, very small. So even if you compare it to my little finger, it's smaller than my little finger. It's only really little pieces. So then a bit of glue, and then that should just be able to stick in. So you've got a little bit of time before it starts setting to manipulate it where you want it to go, but that's okay. So we need a bit of orange in, because you see we've got the two oranges here. We need some more towards the middle. So same sort of thing. We've got a small little stem, and that's just going to go inside there. So there's not much. You see, it's just a little piece. That's sticking out, that's quite nice. And I think I need another piece down here. So I'm going to get a bit like this. So then a bit of glue on my stem and tuck that underneath. So we're coming together now. I can see now I need a bit more here as well. So a lot of this is just doing what you feel, and if it feels like you need a little bit more colour there, pop some in. Because it's asymmetrical, there's less rules as such, so you can put things where you want them. But they are, because we've now got a lot of stems there, the materials are just slotting in and the glue is sticking to stems. So it's a bit easier now we've got a bit more material there. I don't have much Crispidia in this, so I'm going to try and bring in a little bit more. And I'm going to tuck that in actually at the back here. Okay, and then what have we got? We've got some more of these yellow bits. So I can bring in a bit of that down there. So this is such a tiny piece, but I'm still going to cut it shorter. So if you can see how tiny that is, there's my little finger. It's very, very short. So then I can just pop this stem, put it all the way in the tube like I was doing before, if you remember, like that. That gives lots of glue on the stem. And then that can just squeeze in that little gap. So we are nearly getting there, I think. We've got a bit of this to go as well, this bit of honesty, which I think is lovely. So where can we pop that? So in pops need a bit of white coming out the front here. So what I'm going to do is I've got 3 pieces on here. So I'm going to take off the bottom 2. Okay, so now I have 3 stems, look, of the honesty. So I'm going to put these 2 aside, and this one on the long stem, I'm going to use this, and that needs to come off there as well. So I've got one little piece of honesty, and that will probably slot down here. Oops. Yeah, so that needs to go somewhere in there. So I'm going to make the stem shorter because I can see just from that little test that the stem was too long. So I only have a short bit now. So that's going to go my bit of glue. And this is going to tuck in just at the front there. And I'm going to bring in a little bit more around the back. So again, I'm going to take some off the stem. And bring that in there. And then there is another piece which could come around here if needed, but I think that's too much. So maybe just leave that one out. Doesn't look like it's needed. But then what do we need? A bit of yellow down here maybe? It needs something. So we could bring a piece of this Craspedia along. So this is just a small piece of Craspedia. It's got a very small head on it. And that's going to look quite nice there. So again, quite a short stem. And that will tuck in there. And I think we are probably nearly done. So I've just turned the camera around to have a look at it to see if there's anything else I want to do, and I do have a few little gaps. So I've got a bit of lavender, which again, so I've chopped to this length, and then that can maybe slot in there. It needs to be shorter again. And I'm going to pop a bit of glue. So I've got 2 pieces of lavender here. So they're just slopped in at the front. And then I've got a piece of Craspedia as well, which I've already cut down. So you can see that's the whole length of my little finger. And I'm going to pop some glue on there. And that is going to sit at the front there, sliding in to give a bit of yellow at the front. And I think that is as good as done.